Hello, welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Puss and Birdie, released in 1943. It's the 418th in the series, and it's directed by Frank Tashlin. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Gone Collection Volume 4 DVD set. A HD version is out there, and hey, it's in the public domain, so I'll have the short playing for you at the very end as well. But for consistency's sake, just to make it match with the other reviews, this is a case of a short that you've probably seen before in the Sylvester and Tweety version, but here we see a bird has gone missing. We all know the cat had eaten that bird, and he hopes that the mistress will order another one. Surely enough, she does, but this bird is a little bit more brighter seemingly than the previous birds and ends up tormenting the cat. So first up, you're going to see the highlights of the audio commentary I did with my good friend Austin Kelly, who is a self-professed Tashlin-holic. The full thing is still up on the channel, but I thought I'd put the highlights here for completeness' sake. Then after that, you'll hear some new thoughts from me. So without further ado, let's get into it. But as we see a pair of legs here, which is a Tashlin trait, yeah, welcome my good friend Austin Kelly. Say hi.
Of course, I'm back for the Tashlin, as I always am. Great cartoon, scripted 10 months before its December 1943 release. It was scripted in February of 43. Really fun cartoon, big influence on the Tweety and Sylvester series. It was even remade as one of the Tweeties, as we'll get into later. But yeah, get hyped. This is a really good one.
The biggest thing, aside from the fact this is the last public domain short in the Warner Brothers shorts canon, this is actually the last Warner Brothers cartoon in black and white. Everything from now on is going to be in color, which further removes the differences between the Looney Tunes and the Merry Melody series, where one was all about the starring character and the other one were more about one-shots, and the Merry Melodies were color, Looney Tunes were black and white. The lines were blurred already by this point, but after this cartoon, they become non-distinguishable. In fact, even Frizz said, "What's the difference? We didn't know until the cartoon was done." So, there you go. Yeah, so this was remade later on as I Tore a Putty Tat, and that was how I saw this exact same story first. When I saw this for the first time, I'm like, haven't I seen this before? Haven't I? But apparently, like, it's almost a proper remake in the sense that they even use the same address in the Maple Drive address in the two cartoons, which is weird. But they probably just use the same storyboards, I would think.
Yeah, and to add on, I mean, it's a big influence on that cartoon. People call it a remake. I think it definitely is a remake. But it's also a big influence on the Tweety and Sylvester series overall. You might think, no, it's just a typical, cat and bird cartoon. They do a lot of these. Columbia did some. But you look at these little subtle touches, and they even remade it as one of the earliest Tweeties. It had a big influence on the series. Freleng, of course, would also like to do this wonderful touches. And here's Powerhouse. This is excellent. I think this is Art Davis animation. Great fun scene. Love Powerhouse. 1943 was the first year where you'll hear the Powerhouse song and all the Raymond Scott music in the Looney Tunes, and Stalling loved the heck out of it. So you'll hear it in this one, Greetings Bait, Hiss and Makeup, Porky Pig's Feet, all kinds of cartoons. You really love that stuff.
Absolutely, and the cat that was, how he was, Rudolph was pacing backwards and forwards and everything, that was pretty much Austin, like, waiting and waiting for Tashlin to come back to the studio to do his commentaries. That's pretty much what he's like to a T there, and I don't blame him. I mean, revisiting these Tashlins again, I'm more in love with them than ever. I've never hated them or anything, but I've just grown more appreciative of them. Just so amazing. Between this one and I Tore a Putty Tat, I mean, which would you prefer? I mean, I probably should know the answer, but which one would you say is better and why?
I mean, it's tough to say. Obviously, I'm gonna. No, it's not tough to say. I'm gonna say the Tashlin one. It's just tough to say why I like that one more. I mean, I've said this a lot of times, but I'm a filmmaker myself, and Tashlin, of course, as we all know, took more of a cinematic approach to his cartoons, and I can just admire them more that way. They're a massive influence on my work. I'm sure they're a massive influence on a lot of other people's work. Although I will say, I Tore a Putty Tat, that one made me laugh more. And I will say the addition of the bulldog in that one is really funny. I think they're both good, but I like this one minimally better for obvious reasons, largely just because it's Tashlin.
Anyone who is a budding film student, this is probably a great example of how you can see this exact same story interpreted by two completely different directors. You can show this one, which is Tashlin, and show the other one, which is Frizz. Both are competent, both are funny, but both are different, but they tell the same story. And I think that's an excellent way to... I think that should be in like some film schools, and then because they're both shorts, it won't take up too much time either. Mm-hmm. That's what I think anyway. I mean, and speaking of cinematic, I love the opening titles as well, because it actually felt like a Hollywood movie of the time. It was just the black and white titles, like just little touches like that. Just
well, that was all that was on Tashlin's mind. And going back to the cinematic approach he took, I mean, it really stands out from the other cartoons the way he angles the camera and the way he'll cut in between shots, because the other directors, especially Freleng, who's very relevant here because he remade this cartoon, he took it and crafted it into something of his own a few years later. The other directors just approach cartoons not so much as films, they did approach them as films, but they were just setting the stage for these really strong, really funny characters to interact and to try to get laughs out of the people in the theater, and that's all they were trying to do. But Tashlin, he does that, but he's also trying to make it feel like a genuine film, because of course that's what he's really trying to do, and especially, I mean, I'm sure he liked doing these cartoons, but I'm sure he preferred doing live action more. And in the case of Porky Pig, I mean, he hated that guy.
Of course, as we see that the bird is in the cat for some reason. So
it's the best ending ever.
So as mentioned, that commentary is still up on the channel in full. But what's interesting is that in revisiting this one, I actually did review a tour at Putty Tat, and that review is up on the channel. And I've got to say, watching the two, it's so interesting to see two different directors take on the exact same idea and seeing the end result. The two share the exact same plot. Some of the voice acting, except for certain added bits here and there, especially in the Sylvester and Tweety one, and they even share a gag as well. But ultimately, they're their own things, and I don't see there being a problem with reusing the same idea. And in this case, the two are different enough that, hey, you can enjoy either one. Which do I prefer? Honestly, I love both, and I really don't see how one is better than the other. I mean, this one, a lot more cinematic, and it's definitely, in my opinion, just a lot more interesting on a visual point of view. But I taught Putty Tat, I think it's more funnier. It's a lot more workmanlike, as Freleng tends to be with his direction, but the gags are definitely a lot better. But hey, I love both. You can't go wrong with either one of those. So if you want to hear my thoughts on A Tour Putty Tat, the review is up on the channel. So, of course, the title is a play on the title Puss in Boots. We all know what booty means, so let's move on, shall we? And weirdly enough, there actually was a colorized version for this short. I believe it was colorized twice, one for the awful Korean redrawn versions that they did in the 60s, and then colorized in the 90s via computer colorization. And I gotta say, when you watch this short in black and white, you just know that colorizing this one would absolutely destroy what was intended here. This is beautiful black and white, crisp cinematography, and Tashlin plays it up to full effect. Colorizing this ruins it, absolutely destroys the intent of what Tashlin was trying to do, along with the background painter Dave Hilberman. But in any case, I just thought that was weird. So let's take another look at this short now that I've looked at it again along with A Tour Putty Tat as well. So right away, as soon as you open up with the short, we see that this is going to be a lot more cinematic looking than the usual shorts with the whole lowdown shot. Yes, as I mentioned in the track, it's Tashlin's trademark to show a lot of women's legs, of course. What else do you expect from Frank Tashlin? Whether it's in his animated shorts or in his live action features later on, like in the movie The Girl Can't Help It and that sort of stuff. And again, Dave Hilberman does the backgrounds, and they really do complement the camera angles and sets the mood nicely, and it doesn't overpower what the animators were doing and what Frank Tashlin was doing in terms of direction. I love the point of view shot of the woman's hand opening the door and then just seeing the horror that the bird cage is empty. Oh, and it's a great name for the bird, by the way, Dickie. So of course she's going to call it a Dickie bird, right? Okay, fair enough.
Dickie! Where are you? Here, Dickie! Dickie, come here!
And I love the response of Rudolph the cat here when asked about Dickie. Is so innocent. Love the animation of him just saying, "Oh, it's not me, I didn't do anything." And then we see that very quick shot of him hiccuping the feathers and then pretending to sleep again. And in just one split frame, we'll go from heaps of feathers to seemingly none at all, like he's sleeping. That's incredible to me. And then we see the cat being so overdramatic. Oh, why is this bird gone? I'm so sad. And he even tries to be helpful, finding the bird looking in the most stupidest places, like under a stamp for some weird reason. But anyway, okay, fair enough. As soon as she goes into another room, I love how crafty this cat is, and he ends up making it as though the bird escapes. So he opens the window, makes bird noises, and sure enough, and I like how the cat's being all dramatic, oh no, the bird has flown away, and we hear Aloha Oi as well in that scene, which is usually what they use whenever we see a character depart somewhere on a ship or whatever, right? So what's interesting is that we're already a third of a way into this short, and we don't even have the main story yet. But it's done so well here, you don't really notice it. In fact, the first half, I'd say, of this short is relatively slow, but then it picks up right at the end. And again, it's done so well, you just don't really notice. It's done really well. Oh, and probably my favorite bit of animation is that dramatic cry that the cat does. Oh no, the bird's gone, the bird's gone. And then we see not long after, where the mistress is calling up to see if they've got another bird. I mean, you'd think the pet store would be suspicious as to why she's ordering all these birds, but whatever, it's capitalism, we want more money, so I guess that's the reason, right? And the cat is so happy, and the sinister smiles the cat does. Ooh, perfect. Now, the whole waiting for the pet store truck scene has got some amazing poses, and by this point, Tashlin's using the Scott art technique, the whole squares, ovals, triangles, and some of the poses where he will just be leaning forward, he would have like a straight line for his back and tail. It's absolutely fantastic. And as we go along to all the 1940s Tashlin shorts, we'll notice that he uses that technique more and more. And as the scene goes on, the cat's poses get even more extreme. He even acts as a dog panting for some reason. And we even see for a few split seconds the close-up of the cat's head. That just kills me every single time. I mean, that's pretty much my face whenever I know that the food delivery is just around the corner as well, and I can sort of see that the delivery guy's walking up the food to my doorstep, right? And this cat is just, I love all the build-up. The cat's like, yes, this is the house, this is the house. Rips the brick wall, and all that build-up was just, oh, it's just for like a gas company. Oh, all right, whatever. And then the cat's so disappointed he doesn't even realize that the actual pet store truck arrives. By the way, do pet stores still deliver today? I don't really know of that actually happening. Granted, okay, horses and, that sort of stuff, sure, and they're not even from pet stores either, but anyway, whatever. If you guys know when this sort of practice would have stopped, definitely let me know, but whatever. It doesn't affect the short or anything, I was just curious about it. And I love the musical bit here. We got the whole delivery man. He's walking to the music, and then we see behind the cat is on his tiptoes to the piano music as well, just being like, ooh, I can't wait to see this bird. He has a peek and sees the bird, and the bird's all shivery, I think, knowing that, yeah, something's definitely gonna happen here. So, 4 minutes, and we can finally start the story proper with the last 3 or so minutes, and things do get faster. So, the new bird is named Petey, and of course the cat's all happy. You'd think the cat would have just waited a little bit, just not to arouse suspicion, but nah. The food that's given by his mistress is terrible, he just wants that bird. So, that whole scene of Rudolph stalking up to the bird is amazing. So many camera angles to build up the tension, but then despite all that tension, bang. It's a quick gag. And that's what you'll notice for the rest of this short. The gags are quick and brutal. So there'll be like this long build-up, cinematic angles, Tashlin treating this as though he's directing some sort of a live-action movie, going above and beyond, because the other directors certainly wouldn't direct like this, because it costs a lot more money and time and all that. But then it's all just for one quick gag, and that's that. And see you later. So the first one is just a simple, okay, the cage just bounces up and down, and so Rudolph learns from this previous failure and ties down the cage. You do have to wonder how he did it on his own, but whatever, we just go with it. So we get, again, another slow build-up. The bird shows it is now useless to try and move the cage, and we build it up. He's going up and up and up. He's trying to get things moving, but the quick-witted bird ends up opening up the doors, and we get Rudolph not only flying through the actual cage itself, he goes out the window. He could have ended there, but no, he keeps going and going and going. He ends up in a fountain, and we get the topper of that statue poking him in the butt. So, there we are. And now it's nighttime, and my goodness, this is what I was saying, where the colorization of this short would have completely destroyed the short, and this part would have been the worst offender in that regard. And all those shadows and just the inky black look of some of the characters is absolutely amazing. So again, we get even more suspense, and again, it's all just for some completely quick, stupid, cartoony mallet gag. Sure, why not? And then the mallet is even used again for an off-screen topper hitting the cat, and the bird gives us a nice little grin. So it's kind of like Tweety, in a sense, I guess. Anyway, so we get another nighttime moment. The cat's, well, he's persistent, I'll give him that, He's trying to get the bird. Again, we get more wonderful angles. I know I've said that a million times already, but to say it again. And it leads to the cage bouncing like crazy, and you'd think by now the mistress would have heard something, but no, not quite yet. And the cat's even got the bird for a moment. It's in its mouth, but no, the bird escapes. And then in a split moment, in a very Tex Avery style gag, the cat's already in the cage and the two fight. And if you want to slow-mo something really weird, definitely slow-mo the bit where they're actually fighting in that cage. It's really interesting to see. So now the mistress wakes up, and we end up with a reversal in the beginning where the bird apparently ate Rudolph. Wow, what an ending. Wow. Okay, so this one is amazing. It's the last public domain short. It's the last Looney Tunes black and white short, but what a way to go out. This one gets 8.5 out of 10. It's not a go-to short. I really do think the Freleng version of this same story is funnier, but my goodness, is this a feast on the eyes. So it's absolutely fantastic, and hey, you guys get to watch it right now. So that'll do it for this review. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and now enjoy the cartoon. See ya.
Everywhere. Oh, dear. He's not here. He's gone. He must be here. He couldn't have gotten out of the house. Here, Dickie. I can't understand it. That's the 5th canary we've lost this month. Oh, poor Rudolph. You miss your little friend, don't you? Hello? Pet shop? Have you any more canaries? Oh, that's fine. Will you send one right over to 1605 Maple Drive? Yes, that's right. 1605 Maple Drive. Little Petey, eat up all your seeds and get nice and big. And you too, Rudolph, eat up all your dinner